Heyo, it's me, Harper Savage, and today I'm going to be testing out pen and ink paper types by two different brands because Inktober is around the corner and I want you guys to be prepared to pick out your sketchbooks for it. So the reason I was inspired to make this video is because I came across this. This is, I don't know how to say it, but I'm going to say Koh-I-Noor. I do actually have colored pencils by this brand, so I was like, whoa, they make sketchbooks? Now this sketchbook is special and I'll go over that in a minute, but I want to show you the other brand we're going to be testing is good old Canson. And originally I was only going to review this, but when I brought out the Canson, I saw that they have similar stats, where they both have 60 sheets of paper. They're both 80 pound, they're both 118 GSM, and they're both like acid free and all that jazz. So I wanted to see if there was a difference between these two, or if it's just a brand, you know? So I'm not sure where you can purchase this one. I got this one on clearance from Joann's. This I got probably like from Michael's or something. So right off the bat, you noticed that this has a special ink block panel feature. And I'll show you exactly what that means. Here is the inside of the book. Before we get started here, let me get it out of the glare. And here is what the ink block panel means. And I'll show you, if, you know, the pictures aren't giving it away, is that this little flap here you put in between each page so that it doesn't bleed through the paper. And I thought that was really cool that this is included. I already see a fault with this though, because the more you get into the back of the book, the more that this is going to create a ledge right here. You can't see it here. Let me flip the book upward. See, if you're at the back of the sketchbook here, it's gonna like make a weird like dent or like pooping. I don't know what to describe this as in the back of the book. So that could affect how you draw towards the back of the book. But this one does lay flat no matter where you open it at. So that's already a good sign. But because I have the Canson as a spiral bound book, this also lays flat no matter what page you open it to. So pretty much the only thing that this one has over the Canson so far is it has that extra sheet in there. So I got a bunch of pens and inks, and we're gonna test what these papers can handle and if there is a superior one or not. So let's get started. I'm going to be starting in the Canson one just because I feel like more people have seen this brand and know how this one works. So I already have a test page started from when I first got this sketchbook, and we're going to do a new one today because I want it to be fair, because I don't actually remember doing the test page to begin with. In honor of, you know, season, I got black and orange themed stuff to try out. All right, let me get started. I'm just gonna write down their brand as I usually do. Oh man, I'm turning this thing. The Sharpie's dying. Not a fair test. Hold on. So here are all the pens, and the only one that I see ghosted through is Sharpie, and I think it has the potential to bleed if you keep layering it up. So next I actually want to test some markers, even though they're technically not pens, but all my fine liners are marker-ish too, you know, so I wanted to try it out, see how it would go, see how much leakage there will be, you know. So it's not really about how they blended together, it's about how much ink I could put down before it would start to flare out, and it didn't flare out from like the square I had made. But the real question here is, did it ghost and bleed through? The answer is yes. So this one you will probably want to have a sheet in between if you are using markers. Next thing I want to test is color pencils, specifically the same brand that our other paper is, the Koh-I-Noor brand. I used to really prefer smoother paper when I was using colored pencils. I have since learned and adapted to whatever paper type I'm using, so it's not as big of a deal for me anymore. But I have since learned that it might have been a sensory thing with me and not necessarily like it's better for that medium for me. But yeah, I want to try these out. I'm using colors 6, 47, and 37, and do these actually have color names? They do. Alright, so I'm going to be using vermilion red, scarlet red, and cherry red. They're saying they're all reds, but I think the vermilion is more of an orangey color, but we'll see. So I'm going to swatch these colors first because I can't remember what they look like, and I can't be bothered to bring out my swatch book. I've decided I'll use the vermilion and scarlet to do the blend test. I don't think I'm going to make it as big as the marker one, but it is super smooth to color on this, and I've actually found that this particular brand doesn't like smoother papers, so it is interesting to me, and it burnishes pretty nice. Now these colors are very similar, so the blend test doesn't look all that dramatic, but it was a very nice smooth experience. I'm gonna grab some Prismacolor ones too to see if there is a difference. Yep, I really enjoyed that too. It was very smooth to do. All right, now I'm gonna do a couple more tests. Probably what we're all waiting for here is using dip pen inks, and I have 2 brands here, and I also have a watercolor ink that we're gonna try. We got the Winsor & Newton and the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay India ink. So I think we're gonna do the inks first, and then I'll do the watercolor ink. Gotta give them a shake first. Been a while since I used them. Okay, first up, I'm gonna try this one because I feel like this one almost everybody has used before. And now the Winsor & Newton. This one dip pen's a little bit more stubborn than the other one is, so I will do my best. Okay, I got out a different dip pen here because that other one is like stubborn sometimes, like you saw. Now let's try the watercolor ink. I am going to be using a brush for this, because I'm curious about how this will dry for the most part. Alright, while that dries up, let's get started on testing out the other one, and we'll compare the results at the end. Off the bat, I'm noticing a little bit of a space problem with this one because of the front cover. I wonder if I could just wrap it around back. Hold on. So I have just used the same fold it has to wrap around the spine here, and I pushed it out the other way. Then we're gonna do this cute little inserty thingy. I think this one feels a little bit smoother than the other one, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so before we do the other test, I just want to say right off the bat that it felt a little bit smoother to write on this, and I don't think it's really the paper that's making it like that. I think it's because this is smooth on the back, if that makes sense. Also, let's go ahead and check out this. The Sharpie is ghosting. Again, I think it probably has the potential to bleed, but we don't have to worry about that anymore because of this. This little flappy flap. Alright, so next let's do the marker test. Okay, so I just colored very sloppy, but none of that is bleed out. That is me having a non-steady hand. So I think it did pretty good, along with the Canson. Let's see the bleed through. And yep, that's about the bleed through I thought was gonna happen there. I don't know why it's so dark here. Maybe it picked up some of the pigment of this. So I don't know if that's something I should be concerned about or not. But I do see a little mark here on our little blotter sheet, or whatever they're calling it, the insert here. So I think it's because it's alcohol markers. It might have lifted the color a little. Now let's do the pencil test. Let's do the Prisma. Alright, before we say anything about the paper here, I'm gonna do the ink test now, because that's what we're really here for. Alright, so the water tests have not dried completely yet, but there's like something making my whole house shake, including the camera. Outside, I want to just get through this before that starts to happen again, if it's going to happen again. I did pencil tests while everything was drying, and I want to note that I did a hard, medium, and light pressure, and I did an eraser test as well on the bottom here. And you'll notice the difference, hopefully right away, that this one doesn't look any difference between the medium and hard pressure, while this one does. And this kind of leads into the color pencil test, where it looks more vibrant on the Canson paper than it does on this. To me, anyways, it's like more obvious in real life. But it was easier to blend on the Koh-I-Noor paper, so... The other tests all are virtually the same looking though, and I will say that it was smoother to write on this one, but they were both very smooth to use, so I don't think I prefer one over the other unless I'm using colored pencil. I just blotted away those wet marks. They warp about the same if you're curious, so, and neither of them like leaked through or anything, so I don't think you have to really worry about that too much unless you use a lot of water. This is not really meant to be like painted on though, so keep that in mind. It's more meant for like fine liners and writing. But as you can see here, you can use other mediums and it still looked pretty good. Also, one thing I want to note before I wrap up here is that this is a sticker and it'll come off cleanly. I'm gonna put my sticker on the back, but I think it's nice to be able to just have like a cover with all the specks kind of ruining it on a sketchbook. I understand why it's there and why it's printed on. It looks like it did take some of the ink up, just like in little specks, but it's not a big deal. But that is gonna be it for me today. If you guys want to check out another cool comparison video for Inktober, go ahead and tap the thumbnail here. If you want to catch up on anything you missed, you can go ahead and tap the thumbnail here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to do all the cool YouTube things of comment, liking, subscribing, and turning on that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!